Hi everyone, thanks for coming back. So, making this video with one goal in mind, and that goal is to share my thoughts on this whole PlayStation no discs announcement that we got a couple of weeks ago. So, I've been following a lot of creators who voice their opinions on this, and I want to share my own opinion on why this is happening, first of all. And for that, uh, I'm going to go a bit deeper into the whole thing, why we got to where we are right now. So, first things off, uh, we need to go to Google and ask Google to show us what are all PlayStation main consoles prices and variances. See, so so first of all, we had the PlayStation 1 and the PS1. So in 1994, we got the PS1. In 2000, sorry, we got the classic PlayStation in 1994. Then we had the PS1 in 2000. Basically, this was also a game console that had this CD drive. Okay, we move on to the PlayStation 2 that came out in the year 2000, and the slim variant came out in 2004. Again, it included a DVD playback and the backwards compatibility with the original PlayStation. The slim version didn't have the backwards compatibility as far as I know. Then we move on to the PlayStation 3 in 2006. Then we have the slim version in 2009 and the super slim in 2012. Again, this had different variants from backwards compatible with the first models, and then they dropped the backwards compatibility. Then we got the PlayStation 4 in 2013, then the Slim in 2016, and the Pro in 2016 as well. Again, this one just had an upgrade through the years. And then we go to the PlayStation 5. This is where we basically messed up. So, as you can see, at launch, the PlayStation 5 had two versions. You had the digital only for $400, and then you have the disc version for $500. After that, we also got the Slim in 2023, which again introduced only a modular attachable disk drive, as you can see, and the PS5 Pro dropped the disk drive entirely. So the Slim version came in two uh, options basically, with disk drive, and without a disk drive. And the PS5 Pro abandoned that completely, allowing us to buy a modular attachable disk drive. So looking at all of this, basically our fault that Sony got to the point where they said, okay, we can move to an all digital future. So don't get me wrong. I understand that in the beginning in 2020, we had the pandemic and all that, and it was hard to get a console. So you bought whatever you were able to buy. But because of this, we basically showed Sony that, yeah, here it is. We can go digital only. We can eliminate discs. And eliminating discs causes a lot of problems because we're losing media every single day because of this. Don't get me wrong, I buy digital and physical as well. As you can see, I have collector's editions, I have CDs behind me. So actually Blu-rays for the PS5 and PS4. But moving away from digital media is our fault. We can latch onto the numbers and say, oh, they're not correct because they're skewed and so on and so forth. But to be honest with you, they are correct. Of course, digital sales went through the roof considering people bought consoles that are not able to read CDs. And if you think about it, the PS2 and the PS3 were actually sold as home entertainment systems. So they weren't sold as only game consoles like they did with the PS4 and the PS5 at this point. So back in the day when the PS2 and the PS3 launched, they had multimedia controllers, like a remote controller that, you know, enabled you to start movies, to, use the PlayStation as a multimedia device instead of just being, a game console that's exclusive for gaming. And I think this is where we messed up because if people would have held out and be like, oh, okay, I'm not going to buy any digital only PlayStations, we wouldn't be in this situation. So, yeah, I followed a lot of creators that pointed out that, look, we have these numbers from Sony, how much physical media we sold, how much digital media we sold. Yeah, of course, numbers will be in favor of digital. Why? Because most people that own a disk drive PlayStation will also buy digital. I'm not saying digital exclusive, but I'm saying that they will also look at, whatever sale they have on the PlayStation store and they will buy one of one or two games eventually. So again, whenever we're looking at these numbers, they should also provide how many digital consoles they sold and how or not digital consoles, digital only consoles and how many disk drive consoles they sold. Because that way, of course, you can explain away the full fact that, oh look, uh, we sold more digital games. Because again, going back to my main point, it's a digital only console. You will not be able to go and buy a physical game on a CD. So, taking this into consideration, I do think it's a big mistake that Sony's moving away from discs into sorry, in CDs in 2028. Of course, I saw a lot of people that said like, "Oh, I prefer digital because I'm not able to go to a store or the store is out of my way and so on, or I'm living in a remote location that I'm not able to buy physical copies." Again, people like me, collectors, shouldn't be punished for something that's not in our control. And of course, again, in these numbers, we also have to take into consideration all games that are digital only. And again, I don't think all games should be put on a Blu ray, but there is a future for that. And honestly, I would prefer to buy a physical Blu ray copy of a game instead of, only digital. We did have some examples with uh, the crew that went offline. So now basically that game is lost forever, not able to, play it. And then we have other examples as let me just grab the copy. Basically, they lost their license. So as an example, we have Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions. Again, why did it lose its license? Because it was made by Activision and they don't have the rights anymore for this game. Another couple of examples, these two. So we have Spider-Man Edge of Time and Spider-Man Web of Shadows. Again, made by Activision. They lost the licensing rights. So now basically we're not able to play them. And at the same time, if you look at it this way, lost its focus. Okay. If you look at it this way, uh, here's a great question, Sony. Why not make the PS3 store available online? So I tried looking up a couple of games on the PS3 store without booting up my console and going to the actual store. And when I went to your site, I'm only able to look for PS4 and PS5 games. But I'm not able to search, PS3 titles and purchase them on the site itself. So again, they're pushing a digital only future, but they're limiting our access to those digital features. So these are my 2 cents on this issue. Please leave a comment if you have any other opinion or any other insight on this. More than happy to hear about it. Thanks for listening to my short rant. Here is out.